Hey, what's up everybody? It's Christian with Reaper Discs, and today we're going to be looking at the Virus from Axiom Discs. The Virus is a high-speed, very understable driver from Axiom, geared more toward low-power and beginner players looking for their first higher-speed driver. Like I said, it is very understable, and I'd actually, prior to this, not ever thrown one before. So it took me a while to start getting used to. It is very, very understable, and like I had said, it's probably really good for low arm speed players looking for their first real driver, or beginners who kind of want a driver instead of wanting to start with a mid or a putter. So when thrown on a stock Hyzer release, it did immediately flip up to a turnover angle. It flipped all the way past flat and got over on anhyzer, stayed on anhyzer pretty well the entire flight, and landed for the most part flat. It landed a little bit on edge, so it kind of did cut around in a small circle, but it didn't cut roll at the end of the flight. When I threw it flat, it immediately went over into a full anhyzer angle, and I had to give this one a little bit of height when I threw it, and it held the turnover pretty well the entire way. Whenever it did hit the ground, it did hit on a cut roller angle and really jerked back over to the left pretty hard. When I threw this on anhyzer, it was a roller. It got up in the air, traveled for a ways through the air, just a big rainbow roller style. It hit the ground at about 11 o'clock and stayed pretty well on the upright angle, flipped up to full upright fairly quickly, and just because the grass was a little thicker than is typical whenever I was out throwing, it didn't get all the way over and start turning to the right. This would be a really good roller disc for those shots that you either want to get straight to the ground really quickly, or if you need a ton of left to right movement after it hits the ground. When I threw this on full power, I'll be honest, I had to throw this with heavy hyzer and really high because I knew that it was going to flip over really hard. And it did. It immediately flipped up to a really long turnover. And because of how gyro discs typically go, it continued to push forward a lot before it finally kind of stalled out in the air and fell back out of the sky. But it did carry for a long ways before doing that, and almost the entirety of that it was on a turnover angle. Now, one thing that I can see more of an advanced player using this disc for, aside from a roller, is for very low power control shots, such as inclement weather, or if you're in the woods and you need something to push far but straight and you can't throw it very hard, whether that be a patent pending shot or anything like that where you can't put a ton of power onto something but you still need it to flip up to flat. In which case, this disc will do that, it's just very touchy. So I threw it very low power. I had a low release with a slight hyzer, and it flipped up to perfect flat, got a little bit kind of minimal left to right movement, but for the most part stayed straight. And whenever it was getting back down to the ground, it was back on a flat angle and just nestled back down into the grass. But like I said, being so understable, it is very touchy to be able to get that kind of control on it. So this is going to be a shot that could be executed by a more advanced player. All in all, I do think that the Virus has a place in a multitude of players' bags, not just beginner players or players with lower arm speed, but more advanced players can use it as a roller or that very low power control shot like I had mentioned. How do you guys think you would use the Virus? Let me know in a comment down below, and if you want one for yourself, head over to reaperdisc.com, check them out there, plus a multitude of other discs and awesome apparel. Again, I'm Christian with Reaper Discs, and I'll see you guys in the next video.